Krishna Krishna Hari Hari, Hari Rama Rama, Rama Rama Hari Hari,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna 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 Hari Hari, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hari Hari,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Jaya Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam,
Jaya Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam.
Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram,
Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram.
Jaya Parama Karuna, Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra, Jaya Parama Karuna, Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra,
Jaya Parama Karuna, Jaya Nitya Gaura Chandra, Jaya Parama Karuna, Jaya Nitya Gaura Chandra.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Radhastami ki jai, Srimati Radharani ki jai, Shri Radhastami Mahamhotsava ki jai. So Hare Krishna would like to invite Partha Sarthi Prabhu to lead us in Kirtan. Radhe Gopal Bhaj Man Sri Radhe Gopal Bhaj Man Sri Radhe Gopal Bhaj Man Sri Radhe Radhe Gopal राधे गोपाल भज मन श्री राधे श्री राधे गोपाल ब्रज मन श्री राधे श्री राधे गोपाल भज मन श्री राधे श्री राधे गोपाल भज मन श्री राधे श्री राधे जय जय राधे श्री राधे जय राधे श्री राधे जय जय राधे श्री राधे जय राधे श्री राधे जय जय राधे जय राम दमानवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna, we want to take this opportunity to welcome all the devotees who are participating this morning in our special Radhastami program this morning here at Hare Krishna Study Center. So thank you all for joining, especially those who are joining virtual platforms. So already we have gone quite a bit into the program in terms of there was kirtan, chanting of the holy names, and then wonderful prayer in Jai Radha Madhava, which glorifies the holy place of Vrindavan, the land of Krishna. So Vrindavan, of course, entails, is a place where so many pastimes of the Lord would have been performed. Krishna performed so many wonderful pastimes, and today we are celebrating the most glorious appearance of Srimati Radharani. So we like to, at this point in time, we'll invite Hari Kirtan. He's going to speak, made a presentation on Radhastami.
Just click auto usage. Sorry, number 2. Number 1. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. So please, let's all recite Mangalacharana together. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vande Aham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radhastami Mahamahotsava ki jai. So we'll recite one prayer honoring Srimati Radharani. Sadly, we won't have it on the screen, so we'll have to use our memories. But you can just repeat after me. Devi Krishna Mai Prokta Radhika Paradevata Sarva Lakshmi Mai Sarvakanti Sammohini Para. So now it is said that this material universe is encased like an egg, right? It has its covering of the 5 elements and mind, intelligence, false ego. And they're layered on one another, and as you go to the next layer, that layer is 10 miles thicker than the previous layer. So, and then we are on this Earth planet in the middle of this universe, and Goloka Vrindavan is way, way up there. So, we need to shout extremely loudly for Srimati Radharani to hear us. So let's go again. Devi. I don't think she will hear. Devi Krishna Mai Prokta Radhika Paradevata Sarva Lakshmi Mai Sarva Kanti Sammohini Para. So the translation is as follows. The transcendental goddess, Srimati Radharani, is a direct counterpart of Lord Sri Krishna. She is the central figure For all goddesses of fortune, she possesses all attractiveness to attract the all-attractive personality of Godhead. She is the primeval internal potency of the Lord. This is taken from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 4, text 83. So one very interesting line from this translation is that it says, she possesses the attractiveness to attract the all-attractive personality of Godhead. Take a minute to digest that. If Krishna is all-attractive, Krishna possesses 6 qualities in full. One of them being he possesses all the beauty that there is within the entire creation, spiritual and material worlds, and even more. To take it a bit further, every day Krishna's beauty increases. So if that Krishna is so attractive, then imagine someone, so usually if one is attractive, then, other things in the world, they just don't come up to the mark. But just imagine that Srimati Radharani attracts that all-attractive personality of Godhead. Now that is amazing. And it is something that we can't easily understand on a superficial level, and that is why we have Shastras. And in keeping with that theme, I didn't want to say anything of my own, of what glorifying Srimati Radharani. So whatever I'll be saying today is simply repeating what Srila Prabhupada mentioned in his lecture on Radhastami in London, I think 1969. And if there are any misrepresentations, it's my own misinterpretations, and it would do you well, extremely well, to actually go and listen to that lecture on your own, to hear directly from Srila Prabhupada. So today is the birth appearance day of Srimati Radharani, which is around 14 to 15 days after the appearance day of Sri Krishna. So who is Srimati Radharani? Anyone can say? Anyone wants to volunteer? You can shout out the answer. Anyone? So Krishna has 2 energies. What are they? The external and internal energies, right? The external energy is Maya Devi, Yoga Maya, who keeps us entrapped within this material world. And she is in charge, Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, Sadhana, Shakti, Rika. Creation, maintenance, destruction of all the material universes. That is why this universe is called Devi Dham, meaning that's her jurisdiction. Devi meaning Mother Durga. So that is the external energy of the Lord. And Krishna says, there is this verse that comes in the Shweta Shratar Upanishad, that Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. Vividaiva Shruyate means Krishna has varying energies, not just 3 energies. These are just 3. We know of the 3 main energies. These are just the 3 main ones among thousands of other energies that are there. So Krishna has many energies, and so Natasya Karyam Karanam Cha Vidyate, meaning Krishna, he has nothing to do. You imagine, you have thousands of assistants. All you have to do there is just sit on a couch, relax, you do this, you do that. But Krishna doesn't even have to tell his energies what to do. The energies on their own know what they need to do to please Krishna. Right? That's amazing. Imagine Krishna's position. Krishna is like, well, he is not like, he is the king of the entire universe. So you can imagine that this Krishna, who Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam, Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha, this eternally youthful Krishna is the Puranam. Purana Purusha means the oldest personality. But Brahma doesn't make a mistake, right? He says Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha. Although he's the oldest personality, he's Navayovana, means he's ever youthful, he's always fresh. Like for instance, Srila Prabhupada often says, We see the picture of the Lord driving the chariot of Arjuna. Anyone can guess what was Krishna's age at that time? I mean, in terms of how many years he was present on the planet? Anyone can guess? Yeah, around 125 years. Right? And Krishna he's looking like a 20-year-old. Very sweet. Navayovana means Krishna is always fresh, ever youthful. So this Krishna, he is Parabrahman, meaning that he is the supreme absolute truth. Now when that Parabrahman, this Parabrahman, which is the source of all eternal bliss. What is this verse? Varanti tat tattva vidas tattva jnanam yad advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. Jai Shri Parama Karuna Nitai Gaur Chandra ki jai. Yes. And this Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan symbolizes the Sat Chit Ananda feature of the Lord. Meaning, the Lord is Sat, He is all good, eternal. Chit means He's all knowledgeable. And Ananda meaning He is eternally blissful. So if this Sat Chit Ananda wants to enjoy this reservoir of transcendental pleasure, Rama, the name Rama means the reservoir of pleasure. So if he's the reservoir of pleasure, when that reservoir wants to enjoy, what kind of enjoyment does that mean? Or what does that enjoyment entail? So, another point, the greatness of Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Ekam Shina Stito Jagat. In the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, He is the splendor of the sun, He is the light of the moon that gives juice to the vegetables, He is the taste in water, He is this amongst this, He is this amongst that, He is that. Of animals, He is the lion. Of men, He is the emperor. Of the Pandavas, He is Arjuna. All of these things, the best of everything. But then He says, He tells Arjuna, before you get caught up with all of this, just try to understand that Ekam Shina Stito Jagat, that this entire material creation, not just one universe, the entire material creation, it's called Mahat Tattva. This Mahat Tattva is controlled by just one of His plenary expansions. Not even Him Himself, His expansion. Ekam Shina Stito Jagat. Eka Amsha. Just one plenary expansion. The entire universe is managed and taken care of. Without Krishna, Antantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam. Krishna enters into each atom within this entire creation. Without Krishna, this entire universe is like a body without a soul. What is the use of a body without a soul? It has no value. Srila Prabhupada says it isn't even worth a farthing. A dead body. It doesn't worth anything. So without Krishna, this entire world is nothing. It's like a body without a soul, dead body. Who cares for a dead body? We burn it, we bury it. Some people even throw it in the water. Some people just leave it there and crows eat it. That's the situation of a dead body. However, someone may say, oh, I'm a prime minister. It doesn't matter. Whether you're a prime minister, president, you may be emperor, superstar, 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star, whatever kind of person you are, your body isn't worth anything without Krishna present within it. So just try to understand. When Krishna wants to enjoy, what kind of enjoyment it should be. Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna is so great, everyone knows. But when that great wants to enjoy, what is the quality of that enjoyment? So how do we understand this? There's this verse, Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Ladini Shaktir Asmaj, spoken by Srila Sarup Damodar Goswami. The loving affairs of Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna are not ordinary. This should be understood. Many times people take it that these are material dealings, and some people even pose, oh, my girlfriend and I, we are Radha and Krishna. Or my boyfriend and I, we are Radha and Krishna. And they pose and take out pictures and as if they are Radha and Krishna. And thinking that is sort of like demeaning the Lord's pastime, thinking that this pastime is similar to my material affairs. Although it appears like that, that is not the case. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Avajananti ma mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Param bhavam ajananta. Ajanata means one who doesn't know. Ajanata means persons who are ignorant. And Krishna used a very strong word, mudha. Means fools. Fools deride me when I appear in a human form. And like that, people normalize or materialize Krishna's pastimes, thinking them to be just ordinary thing. Manushim tanumashruta, thinking his activities to be just like another human being. But that is not the case. Many people, they jump to the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, reading pastimes, the Rasa Leela of the Lord. The dancing pastimes of the Lord with the gopis. They jump to this pastime. But without proper qualification, we should not do like this. This is very wrong. Because if we cannot understand the pastime properly, one may think that, oh, we're reading Krishna's pastime, we'll get some purification. But we're committing more offense than we're actually getting purification. It doesn't take us anywhere. So we should understand from Shastra. But there is no understanding of Krishna. Why? Because Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhi. Maybe there may be someone. Out of Manushyanam sahasreshu, out of thousands of men, kaschit yatati siddhi. Kaschit means maybe. Yatati siddhi means endeavor for perfection. Maybe one will endeavor for perfection. So persons who want to actually understand Krishna, they are very rare. Manushyanam sahasreshu. They're 1 in 1,000. 1 in a million, sorry, Srila Prabhupada says. But everyone is working. We are all working, eating, mating, sleeping, defending. And this material civilization, Srila Prabhupada often hits out very harshly. What is the difference between our material civilization and that of the animals? Animals also eat, mate, sleep, and defend. It's just that we are doing it in a more polished way. And people think that if we get a nice hotel, 5-star hotel, that is perfection of sleeping. If we can go and eat in 5-star restaurant, that is perfection of eating. If we can have nice soft bed, that is perfection of mating. If we can have nice guns and satellite guided missiles, that is perfection of defense. So everyone thinks that there are so many versions of perfection. But through the Krishna consciousness movement, we're trying to teach real understanding of what is perfection. Siddhi, this word siddhaye, yatati siddhaye, means perfection. What is this perfection? It means to get out of this miserable material condition. But we need to understand how. And that is what Krishna consciousness is teaching. People in this material world, Srila Prabhupada says, Nate vidhu swarta gatim hi Vishnu. Durashraya hi bahir artha manina. Nate vidu, not knowing, swarta gatim hi Vishnu means real artha is going to Vishnu, gatim hi Vishnu. But instead, durashraya, taking shelter of false misconceptions. Durashraya means not taking right, ashraya means shelter, not taking the right shelter. Bahir artha manina, we begin thinking external things to be our real artha, our real things for our real benefit. But what is the real benefit? Swarta gatim hi Vishnu means Vishnu is the real benefit, knowing Vishnu. But instead we are trying to go to moon planet and Mars. Mars is the latest one, right? Sending rovers to Mars to explore the atmosphere. And at that time, I find it very metaphorical, ironic. At that time, the Russian satellites, they were called Sputniks. right? Sputnik. So Srila Prabhupada, I'll quote the exact line. Srila Prabhupada says, so these means realizing Krishna consciousness is the perfection of life, not that teeny floating Sputnik. And Srila Prabhupada chuckles. Right? So that is not perfection of life. The actual perfection of life is understanding Krishna. Yasmin vijnate sarvam eva vijnatam bhavanti. If you simply understand Krishna, then everything can be understood very easily. Because Krishna is everything. Today is Sri Radhastami. Now you might be wondering, speaking about Krishna, is it Janmashtami or Radhastami? We are trying to understand the chief potency of Krishna. That is why we are speaking like this. This Krishna is so great. His chief potency is internal potency. That is what we need to understand. So Srila Prabhupada gives the analogy of a big man having many servants and assistants. We already spoke about this. And he highlights the material energy which maya dhyaksena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. This entire creation is under my supervision through his external energy. But similarly, Krishna says, paras tasmatu bhava anya. Anya means there is another, beyond this material energy, there's another energy. Paras tasmatu bhavonya. Vyakta vyakta sanatana. Yasa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. Paras tasmat. This other energy is higher. What is this other energy? The internal potency. So, Srila Prabhupada says, that internal potency is, who is that internal potency? Anyone can guess? Can we say loudly, who is this internal potency of the Lord? Hey, Jai, that doesn't sound very nice. Who is the internal potency of the Lord? Who is the internal potency of the Lord? A bit louder, please. Who is the internal potency of the Lord? Srimati Radharani ki. And today is that Srimati Radharani's appearance day. So Srimati Radharani, she's called the Pleasure Potency or Ladini Shakti. In the Vedanta Sutra, this term comes, Ananda Maya Bhyasat. Means Krishna is Anandamaya. He's the reservoir of pleasure, as we said. So what is this Ananda? Ananda, Srila Prabhupada says, Ananda is not to be had alone. Srila Prabhupada says, just like he's speaking, Srila Prabhupada is speaking about himself. He's speaking in first person, right? Just like I am speaking, and all of you are here. I cannot speak if no one is here, Srila Prabhupada is saying. Then there's no pleasure, right? You always have to have someone to share that pleasure with. So similarly, when that Krishna wants to share this pleasure with someone, who that someone should be? Is it that that person is something or someone material? Can it ever be something ordinary? Can we even begin to compare? People start saying, oh, I'm Radha, and my partner is Krishna. And then they start dancing with one another, imitating the Rasa Leela. But Prabhupada says, if you want to imitate the Rasa Leela, that is fine. You imitate. But don't just take one part of the pastime. Go and try lifting that table at least with your pinky of your left hand. Don't take one part of the pastime and leave the other part. Try to do at least that. Lift that table for 7 days and 7 nights. Or at least 1 day and 1 night. With your pinky of your left hand. We can't even do that. Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill for 7 days, 7 nights by himself. So we should not try to imitate the pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna. They are not ordinary. So what is the verse in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita? Radha Krishna pranaya vikritir hladini shakti rasmat ekatmanau api bhuvo pura deva bedau gatau tau chaitanyakyam prakata madhuna tadvayam chaikyamatam radha bhava dyuti suvalitam naumi Krishna swarupam. Radha Krishna pranaya vikritir hladini shakti rasmat. Means Sri Radha is Sri Krishna's pleasure potency. Ekad ekatmanau api. They are one. Radha and Krishna are one soul in two bodies. Can we all repeat that? Radha and Krishna are one soul in two bodies. Then we'll get to the next part. Chaitanyakyam prakritam adhuna. We'll get to that part just now. But we're speaking about Krishna being Parabrahman. And this is confirmed by Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. When he realized Krishna's position, he says, Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhava. Param Brahma. Para Brahma means he's the absolute truth, eternal, supreme personality. The one who everything rests upon, like pearls are strong on a thread. Right? Now, when sages and great personalities wish to experience that supreme Satchit Ananda, what do they do? Anyone can guess? What do? They give up material enjoyment, take sannyas, full renunciation. Why? So that they can relish that supreme pleasure, that ananda, that bliss. Just to understand Brahman realization. So just to understand Brahman realization, what is necessary? Renunciation of all material enjoyment. Right? To understand that Brahman, we have to renounce all material enjoyment. Srila Prabhupada says to get eating, sleeping, mating, and defending to zero, nil. Means no eating, no sleeping, no mating, no defending. There is proof. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, when he first joined Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his father was very wealthy personality. Please correct me if it's the wrong personality I'm speaking about. I think it's Raghunath Das Goswami. His father is very rich personality. And when he just renounced everything, his father would send money. So he would engage that money in making big feasts and inviting all the devotees in Vrindavan and feeding very nicely. After some time, he stopped collecting this money, sent back all his father's men. Then he started standing by the steps of Jagannath temple, right? And whatever waste rice there is, whatever leftover offering there is, he would beg that from the pujari and the pujaris would give him. Then he's saying, why am I standing here? It's like, what am I doing here for sense enjoyment? So then he started collecting the waste rice, wash it, and that he would take. Then eventually, this is too much sense gratification. Once every other day, he would take some buttermilk. And then eventually, he just cut off all buttermilk. No eating. So it is possible. But we are not at that stage. Chant Hare Krishna, and eventually we'll get there. So if to realize that Brahman, we need to give up everything. Can that Supreme Brahman enjoy anything material? It doesn't make any sense that Brahman would enjoy something material. So, we should understand Krishna's potency. What is this potency? Our prayer, Srila Prabhupada says, so our prayer today to Radharani. We pray to Radharani because she is the pleasure potency of Krishna. Krishna means all attractive. But Radharani is so great that she attracts Krishna. Krishna is all attractive and she is attractive of Krishna, means attractor of Krishna. So what is the position of Srimati Radharani? We should try to understand this day and offer obeisances to Radharani. Radhe Vrindavaneshwari. Just one. Yes. Hari Hari. We should try to understand this day. How? Srila Prabhupada quotes, Tapta, and we can all recite together, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Haripriya. Srila Prabhupada says, our business is, quote, Radharani, you are so dear to Krishna. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. And you're so dear to Krishna, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Please let us all repeat. Radharani. Please fold your hands and as if we are praying to Srimati Radharani. Radharani, you are so dear to Krishna. A bit louder, please. You are so dear to Krishna. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. And you are so dear to Krishna. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Srimati Radharani ki jai. So, if we approach Krishna, Srimati Radharani is Hari Priya, means she's very dear to Krishna. She's very dear to Hari, who is Krishna. If we approach Krishna through Srimati Radharani, through the mercy of Srimati Radharani, then it becomes very easy. This is the secret. If Srimati Radharani recommends, this devotee is very nice, then Krishna immediately accepts. And Srila Prabhupada says something very heart-touching. If Srimati Radharani recommends that this devotee is very nice, then Krishna immediately accepts, however fool I may be. That is the level of the mercy of Srimati Radharani. Because if we are recommended by Srimati Radharani, then Sri Krishna accepts. But if we go through speculative processes, then it's very technical to understand Krishna. If you pick up a paper, you open Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, you have Shvetashvatara Upanishad, all the Vedas, and you start taking notes, making a tree. This, then this, then this, then this. You'll get confused. But simply, there's a simple process to realize Krishna through Srimati Radharani. What to speak of understanding Krishna? We can't even understand Srimati Radharani properly because even Krishna doesn't understand Srimati Radharani. Right? In order to understand Radharani, Shri Krishna, he took the position of Srimati Radharani because he wanted to understand his potency, her potency, Srimati Radharani's potency. Shri Krishna says, I am full, I am complete in every respect, but still I want to understand this Radharani. Why? So this propensity made Krishna obliged to accept the propensities of Sri Radharani, to understand himself. It's a very technical subject matter, right? And so, Srila Prabhupada even says, these are, of course, very transcendental, great science. One who is advanced in Krishna consciousness and well conversant with Shastras, they can understand. But still, we can discuss from Shastra. When Krishna wanted to understand himself, he took the tendency of Srimati Radharani. And that is our very own Sri Gaurachandra. Sri Gaurachandra Mahaprabhu ki! So, the second part of that verse. Radha Bhavas Duti Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupa. Chaitanyakyam Prakata Adhuna. Means that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, but he has accepted the propensities of Srimati Radharani. Always feeling separation. Similarly, just like Srimati Radharani. When the process of devotional service taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his disciplic succession, parampara, is how to feel separation from Krishna. That is Srimati Radharani's position, always feeling the separation. Vipralamba Seva. The Goswamis, Srila Prabhupada says, they never said the Goswamis are the highest authority. We agree? We are called Rupanugas. Right? That means we are followers of Sri Rupa Goswami. So Sri Rupa Goswami is the highest authority for us. Anytime we have any doubts as to our philosophy, we refer to the teachings of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Rupa Goswami. Sri Rupa Goswami is our chief. Right? And so the Goswamis are the highest standard. They never said that I have seen Krishna. Instead, what have they said? He Radhe Vrajadevike Chalalite, He Nanda Shuno Kuta. Shri Govardhana Pada Patale Kalindi Vane Kuta. Goshantaviti Sarvato Vrajapure Keder Mahavivalo. Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako. He Radhe Vrajadevike Chalalite. They're wandering the forests of Vrindavan shouting, He Radhe, He Vrajadevike, O friend of Lalita, searching for Srimati Radharani. Not that, Srila Prabhupada said, they never said, I have seen Krishna dancing with the gopis. Last night I saw. And Srila Prabhupada laughs. This is Sahajiya. This is not a mature devotee. They take everything very cheap. Krishna very cheap, Radharani very cheap, as if they can see every night. No, the Goswamis do not teach us like that. They are searching after. He Radhe Vrajadevike Chalalite. Are you under Govardhan Hill or on the banks of the Yamuna? Kalindi Vanekuta. And looking for the associates. Are you here, Krishna, or are you there on the banks of Yamuna in Govardhan Hill? So we have to follow, Srila Prabhupada says, we have to follow the footprints of the Goswamis. In their footsteps we need to follow. How to search for Shri Radha and Madhava in Sri Vrindavan Dham. Srila Prabhupada says something very nice. How we have to follow the footprints of the Goswamis. How to search out Krishna and Radharani, Vrindavan, or within your heart. That is the process of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, feeling separation. And how does this service in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission begin? Sevo and Mukhe Hijivado. What is the verse? Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved graham indriya. Means all our senses are incompetent to render proper service. The only and best way to render service. How does this service begin? Sevon mukhe hijivado. Means from our tongue. Our tongue, ironically, is the means of our liberation. Two ways. How? Chanting and eating. Very wonderful processes. So what do we chant? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And as Pita was mentioning, Prabhupada Dev Prabhu was mentioning yesterday, how many times we're mentioning Hare in the Mahamantra? 8 times. How many times Krishna? 4 times. How many times Rama? 4 times. So how important is Srimati Radharani? So don't feel that this Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not enough. It's more than enough. Srimati Radharani is there. We are begging this internal potency of the Lord to please engage us in the service of Srila Prabhupada so that Srila Prabhupada can present us to Sri Krishna. Please engage us in this service. So Srila Prabhupada ends by saying, don't try to see Krishna. You cannot see Krishna with your material eyes. Neither you can hear about him with your material ears. Neither you can touch. But if you engage your tongue in the service of the Lord, then he'll reveal himself to you. Here I am. That is wanted. So feel, please listen to this very carefully. So feel separation of Krishna, just like Radharani. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches us, our Sri Gaurachandra teaches us, and engage your tongue in the service of the Lord. Then, one day, when you're mature, you'll see Krishna eye to eye. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. And in the words of Srila Prabhupada, please repeat this before we finish. One verse. Srila Prabhupada's famous bhajan. Krishna tava punya have bhai, e punya koribe jabe, Radha Rani kushi have, dhruva ati bholito matai. That mercy of Krishna will be attained only when Radha Rani kushi have, when Srimati Radharani is pleased with you. Then we'll attain the mercy of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimati Radharani ki jai. So we'll now do one bhajan, Sri Radhika Stava. Shri Shri Paramakaranitai Gaur Chandra Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. So read the translation for this bhajan in the meantime. So the translation goes as follows. O Radha, O beloved of Madhava, O you who are worshipped by all the young girls of Gokula, all glory is unto you, all glory is unto you. You who dress yourself in such a way as to increase Lord Damodar's love and attachment for you, O Queen of Vrindavan, which is a pleasure grove of Lord Hari, O new moon that has arisen from the ocean of King Vrishabhanu, O friend of Lalita, O you who make Vishaka loyal to you due to your wonderful qualities of friendliness, kindness, and faithfulness to Krishna, O you who are filled with compassion, O you whose divine characteristics are described by the great sages Sanaka and Sanatana, O Radha, please be merciful to me. Srimati Radharani ki jai.
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite.
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 Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite.
Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite.
Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite.
Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite.
Radhe Jaya Jaya Damodara Rati Vardana Veshe Hare Nishuta Vrinda Vipineshe.
Damodara Rati Vardana Veshe Hare Nishuta Vrinda Vipineshe.
Damodara Rati Vardana Veshe Hare Nishkuta Vrinda Vipineshe.
Damodara Rati Vardana Veshe Hare Nishkuta Vrinda Vipineshe.
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite.
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 Vrishabhanu Dadhi Navashashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake.
Vrishabhanu Dhare Navashashi
Leke
Lalita Saki Gunaramita Vishake.
Vrishabhanu Dadhi Navashashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake.
Vrishabhanu Dhare Navashashi Leke Hare Nishkuta Vrinda Vipineshe.
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite.
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite.
Radhe Karunam Kurumai Karunavarite Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite
Kurumaye Karuna Varete Sanaka Sanatana Varita Charite
Karunam Kurumai Karunavarite Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite
Karunam Kurumai Karuna Varite Sanaka Sanatana Varita Charite
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava
O Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava
Jaya Radha Gokula Chandra Radha Gokula Chandra Radha Gokula Chandra Shri Radhe
Jaya Radha Gokula Chandra Radha Gokula Chandra Radha Gokula Chandra Shri Radhe
Jaya Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Jaya Radhe Shyam
Jaya Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Jaya Radhe
Jaya Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Jaya Radhe Shyam
Jaya Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava
Everyone together Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava
Shri Shri Radha Gokula Chandra Dev Ki
Jai. Hare Krishna. Shall continue to hear a little more on the glories of Srimati Radharani. So we'll first like to begin with a few invocation prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyachari Shatarini Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hare Priye. So Hare Krishna once again. So I'd like to seek the blessings of all the devotees so that I can speak on the glories and appearance, pastimes of Srimati Radharani. So actually, I'm not qualified to speak on these very exalted subject matters, but by the mercy of all the devotees, by the mercy of our acharyas, we are just instruments in passing on the message. So our acharyas such as Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur have give us access to the mercy of Srimati Radharani. And we are just recipients and instruments in receiving and also assisting to pass on the glories or share the glories. So in that mood, I would like to speak for my own purification and also as a service to all the devotees. So I'd like to pick up from where Hari Kirtan, one point that he was mentioning, where Srila Prabhupada was establishing that how can we understand Sri Krishna and Srimati Radharani? That is only possible by, first of all, taking shelter of the lotus feet of our acharyas. And this has been highlighted specifically, more so, in one bhajan by Srila Narottam Das Thakur, where he mentions, Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti Kabe Hama Bhujavose Jughala Piriti. He says that when my mind is completely purified, when shall I be very much eager to study the books left by the 6 Goswamis? One has to learn of the conjugal loving affairs of Radha and Krishna through the teachings of these 6 Goswamis. So this is how fortunate we are that we have access to the teachings of the Goswamis, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it is said that when it comes to understanding Krishna, Hari Kirtan also spoke about that, how easy it is, sarcastically, 200%. It's very difficult to understand Krishna. It is mentioned that if we take, for instance, the sun planet. Now, what we are seeing here, or what we are experiencing the rays or the sunshine, the rays, the energy that comes from the sun. But if I'm to ask you, well, what the sun globe's like, have you ever gone there? What are the features of the sun planet? What is made up of? And so all those details. It's very difficult, it's very difficult to understand. No one can even go close to the sun planet. Before you even get there, you'll become less than ashes. So then if I'm to ask you, well, within the sun planet, there's the Surya Dev, the sun god lives here, and he and all his associates, his family live there. So you can see, we have one experience only of the sunshine, pretty much. We don't have experience we don't know much about the sun planet, nor anyone who resides there. So in a similar way, just think about it. Krishna, he is residing in Golok Vrindavan, and there, he is served by thousands and thousands of Lakshmis and Gopis. Lord Brahma mentions in Brahma Samhita that he is served in such elaborate and diverse ways. So think about it, how easy for us to understand such a personality. And not only to understand Krishna, if we cannot properly understand him, how will we understand about his family members, his intimate associates? So that's why it is mentioned that we have to seek shelter, approach our previous acharyas, because by their teachings, by their mercy, and by their books, we can understand. So it is said that in Sanskrit there are 2 words. There's one word called gadya, which means poetry. So poetry in the forms of prayers and bhajans, glorifications given by the acharyas. And there's also books or essays. So these are called padya. So by the poetry and the books, by the teachings of the Goswamis, these are the proper ways to approach or try to understand Krishna and his associates. And that's why in prayers, like let's say if we take from the Sri Ishopanishad, we see that a devotee is praying Hiranya Mayena Patrena. He's referring to Krishna that, "O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotees." So just see, the Lord, he is covered, by his effulgence. But a devotee, he prays out of revelation, for the Lord to reveal himself. So this is the mood, this is the approach that one has to take. So in that way, I would like to read from the Nectar of Devotion, two short paragraphs in the first chapter where Srila Prabhupada talks about Srimati Radharani. So this is from first chapter of Nectar Devotion. It is said that Srila Rupa Goswami has stated that devotional service attracts even Krishna. Krishna attracts everyone. So Har Kirtan was mentioned in that. But devotional service attracts Krishna. The symbol of devotional service in the highest degree is Radharani. Krishna is called Madana Mohana, which means that he is so attractive that he can defeat the attractions of thousands of cupids. But Srimati Radharani is still more attractive, for she can even attract Krishna. Therefore, devotees call her Madana Mohana Mohini, the attractor of Cupid. To perform devotional service means to follow in the footsteps of Srimati Radharani. And devotees in Vrindavan put themselves under the care of Radharani in order to achieve perfection in their devotional service. In other words, devotional service is not an activity of the material world. It is directly under the control of Srimati Radharani. And this is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. If we take, for instance, from 9th chapter, it is mentioned that, Daivi Prakriti, which refers to the internal energy, or the Ladini Shakti, who is Srimati Radharani herself. So under her care and guidance, as we as practicing devotees, can we perform devotional service, with determination and also constantly engage in devotional service. It is only through her mercy. So now, in terms of the appearance pastime of Srimati Radharani, this appearance pastime, the appearance of Srimati Radharani was narrated by Lord Shiva to Parvati in the Padma Purana. So the pastime is very short, and it goes that there were two, a king and her queen. So there was a king by the name of Vrishabhanu and her queen Kirtida, who lived in Barsana. So this Barsana is in Vrindavan, and it's there. In Barsana, there are so many wonderful pastime places it's actually the land of Srimati Radharani, the exact place where Srimati Radharani grew up and performed many wonderful pastimes. So this appearance is not, of course, like any, any usual birth. Just like Krishna's take his birth, his appearance was not a usual. Lord Balaram taking his birth was not a usual birth to the womb. So for many long years, Mother Kirtida and Vrishabhanu, they were without a child, and they were constantly praying, when will that day come when they will have a child that, they can, express their love to. So it is said that it was the high moon on the 8th day of the bright fortnight, which is a day like today, in the month of Bhadra. Her father, Vrishabhanu, became so blissful that he gave large amounts of cloth. So this occurred after, but the actual appearance is that Srimati Radharani appeared on a lotus petal, 1,000-petal lotus flowers in a nearby kund, a nearby lake. There, Vrishabhanu Maharaj went and received her, child in the, in this the goddess of fortune, Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani ki jai. So upon receiving this child, you can now imagine the amount of satisfaction and bliss that he was experiencing. And as usual, they will give large tons of, of jewels, of gold, cows in charity to the Brahmanas because of receiving this benediction, receiving, Srimati Radharani as their child. So the families of the cowherd men felt that every single desire was fulfilled by Srimati Radharani's most auspicious appearance. So in this way, again, her appearance is unusual, and that's how the Lord appearance is. And, there are many pastimes that occur starting from her childhood, and I will just take a few minutes to narrate a few. So 6 months after her appearance, there's what is called the Anna Prasana ceremony, name-giving ceremony. So on the day of name-giving ceremony, all elaborate arrangements were made by her parents, Vishbhanu Maharaj, Kirtina, Mother Kirtan, and all the cowherd damsels there in Barsana. And what happened, it is said that the Mahaprasad, generally, as you will know, name-giving ceremony of a child, you give the child Mahaprasad, Krishna Mahaprasad. Most of the time sweet rice. The first time child is taking grains. So they said the first time on this day of the Annaprasana ceremony, Srimati Radharani took from Krishna's plate, his prasad. So already before this Annaprasana ceremony, there was one unique thing that happened. When she appeared, for months, her eyes were closed. And Vrishabhanu Maharaj, Mother Kirtida, they were very saddened by this, that, they have a child, but now this one problem is there. Her eyes is not open. And, the secret was that until and unless she comes in contact or in the darshan of Krishna, of baby Krishna, then her eyes would be open. And this pastime goes way back in Golok Vrindavan before Krishna's appearance. Krishna, when he was sitting down one day and was telling to Srimati Radharani that I'll descend in this material world, Bharatvarsh, and I would like for you to appear with me so that we can perform pastimes. But then she reluctantly said no, that she is not going to appear. She doesn't want to come. And then he tried to negotiate with her, and then, he told that don't worry, you would never be attracted by any material, male, or anything of that sort in this world. You'll always remember and you'll always see me. So in that way, you'll be protected. So unless and until, she was taken, to see baby Krishna, then, by coming in contact with Krishna, then her eyes opened for the first time after she appeared. So coming back to the grains given ceremony, Krishna was there present also, because Krishna would have appeared before. And from Krishna's plate, so many other preparations were there prepared by all the, the other cowherd damsels, parents, and all that. But she took the Mahaprasad from Krishna's plate directly. And that she set in the standard for all babies, all child to come. They will have to take, Krishna's Mahaprasad for grains given. Later on, as a child, growing up, one day, there's a sage by the name of the famous Durvasa Muni. So we all know, when he goes wrong and, how difficult it is for him to become angry. It's not very difficult. Any slight mistake on your part, you're entitled to a course from Durvasa Muni. So Durvasa Muni came to Vrishabhanu Maharaj's palace, and he saw some little children were there. And little children, generally when they see a saintly person, some sadhu, sannyasi comes. Little girls especially just run away and, hide in the corner somewhere. But Srimati Radharani was there standing. She did not move. But Durvasa Muni asked her that, can you please cook me something? This happened on a Dwarashi day. So if someone is coming Dwarashi day at your home, you know what that means. Fast has to break and all that, right? So she went into the kitchen, her mother's kitchen. She went to get the milk and the rice and all the ingredients. Bear in mind, I don't think she was using a Dan's or Natura milk, right? She was using pure cow's milk. Anyways, she prepared the sweet rice for Durvasa Muni and offered him. The sage was very satisfied and granted her benediction, saying that, this sweet rice is super tasty, and that anyone, that you will be the best cook, and whenever you cook, anyone who tastes this prasad, they will have long life, they will have everlasting beauty, fame, everything. So when Yashodamai hear this in Gokula, she now wants to, bargain with Kirtida that every day Srimati Radharani must come to her home to cook for Krishna. So there are such wonderful pastimes which would have occurred. And I would like to conclude by saying that the personality of Srimati Radharani is no ordinary person. as we can understand from all the references given. And she is the Ladini Shakti, the internal potency of Krishna. And it is said that when someone receives the mercy of Srimati Radharani, that person becomes Prahalad. So what are you saying? You mean I'll become Prahalad, understanding the life and what Prahalad went through, all of that torment. You and I will go through all of that. So Prahalad is an embodiment of unflinching faith in Krishna. That is his personality. That is what he's exemplifying. That is the level of the caliber of devotee he is. He has unflinching faith in Krishna, and that's why Krishna's protection is always there with him. Not only that, Prahalad, he's always, immersed in Shravanam and Kirtanam, and thus Smaranam comes automatically. He's always engaged in chanting and hearing the glories of Krishna, the names of Krishna. And also, he has the desire, the vigor, the enthusiasm to preach the glories of Krishna. Even though he's very, young, he's just a small boy, he's preaching to his demoniac classmates very, very vigorously. So in that way, we can develop, if we receive the mercy of Srimati Radharani, this is what can happen. Our faith in Krishna, has no bounds. And in that way also, we feel dependence on Krishna. So everything we do, like Krishna is saying, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantastra dridhavrataha, that with great determination engage in chanting my glories constantly. So this kirtanam being mentioned does not just only mean singing of Hare Krishna mantra. It means everything that we do in devotional service. It encompasses everything that we do in devotional service. We do that very sincerely, and definitely we receive the mercy of Srimati Radharani. And I would like to conclude by saying that in the meaning of Maha Mantra, like you will remember, Srila Prabhupada, he gives an explanation to the Maha Mantra, and he's saying that this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is in fact a prayer to Srimati Radharani. The word Hare is derived from Hara, which denotes the internal energy of the Ladini Shakti of Krishna. This is none other than Srimati Radharani. When one is chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one is saying, O Krishna, O Srimati Radharani, please engage me in your devotional service. So, Srila Prabhupada mentions that we have to call out on Srimati Radharani, call out on Mother Hara. By accessing and getting the mercy of Mother Hara, and then can we get the mercy of Krishna, of Ram, the reservoir of all pleasure. So on this day, we like to pray for the blessings. We like to pray sincerely to Srimati Radharani to, please give us the inspiration, enthusiasm that we can engage in her service. That whatever service we are doing in the mood of assisting her. We cannot serve Krishna directly, Srila Prabhupada mentions. We cannot approach Krishna. Even the great sages, the great, Mahabhagavad devotees, they are having great difficulty in approaching Krishna, much as us, the Kali Yuga chelas, right? So, praying to her in that mood so that whatever we do, we are doing to assist her in serving Krishna. And in that we will be blessed, we will be able to receive her mercy. Receiving her mercy means she's given recommendation. As Hari Kirtan mentioned, this is very nice devotee. Please, grant him eternal shelter at your lotus feet. So this is the exalted position of Srimati Radharani. But on this day, we have the opportunity to seek her blessings, to seek, her mercy, so that we can keep on going in our devotional service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Radhastami Mahamahotsava ki jai. Most glorious appearance of Srimati Radharani ki jai. Hare Krishna. So we'll go for Artik ceremony. So I encourage all devotees to please stand and come forward. So Srimati Radharani occurred at this time, midday, on a day like today. So we can, and if you can see on the altar, there's a beautiful picture with the personality of Srimati Radharani, who we can pray and offer homage to.
Krishna prasaya bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namani Krishna prasaya bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namo Vishnu Padaya
Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Sunyavade Pasachatakarane
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashachari Shantarine
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Sunyavade Pasachatakarane
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashachari Shantarine
Jayate Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shakti Gaur Bhakta
Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shakti Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
So we'll sing Radhikashtakam. As you can see, it's up on the screen, so if you like, you can follow. The last line remains the same for all the verses. So maybe you can get the hang of that and we can all chorus that last line. Kumkumata kanchanabja garvahari gaurabha pitananchitabja gandha kirtinindeshaurava vallavesha shrunu sarva vanchitat sadhika mahyamatma pada padma dasya dasuradhika
Mahyamatma Pada Padma Dasya Rasturadhika
Kauravinda Kantininde Chitrapata Satika Krishna Mata Bringa Kili Pula Pushpa Vatika Krishna Nitya Sangamata Padma Bandhu Radhika Mahyamatma Pada Padma Dasya Dastu Radhika
Mahyamatma Pada Padma Dasya Dasturadhika
Oh Mahyamatma Pada Padma Dasya Dastu Radhika
Mahyamatma Pada Padma Dasya Dasturadhika
Kumarya Srishtapalla Valikirti Nigraha लीलाहर्ता लीलया च स्थायतोऽस्ति राधिका माह्यमत्मपादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
मायमात्मा पादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
माह्यमात्मा पादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
मायमात्मा पादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
रासलस्य गीतनामा सत्कलालि पण्डिता प्रेम रम्या रूपावेश सद्गुणालि मण्डिता वीरनाव्य गोपयोषि आलितोऽपि याधिका माह्यमत्मपादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
मायमात्मा पादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
नित्यनाव्यरूपा केलि कृष्ण भावा सम्पदा कृष्ण राग बन्ध गोप यौवतेषु सम्पदा कृष्ण रूप वेश केलि लग्न समाधिका माह्यमात्मा पादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
मायमात्मा पादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
ओ माह्यमात्मा पादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
मायमात्मा पादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
स्वेदाकम्पकन्ताकाशु गद्गदादिसञ्चिता हर्ष वामतादि भावाभूषणन्दिता कृष्णनेत्र तोषिरात्मा मन्दनालिदाधिका माह्यमात्मा पादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
मायमात्मा पादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
रक्षणार्थ कृष्ण विप्र सतत सन्तत रक्षणार्थ कृष्ण विप्र योग सन्ततोदिता अनेकदैन्य चापलादि भावावृन्दमोदिता यत्नालाभ कृष्ण संग निर्गता किलाधिका माह्यमात्मा पादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
मायमात्मा पादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
माह्यमात्मा पादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
मायमात्मा पादपद्मा दास्य दास्तु राधिका
अष्टकेन यस्वानेन नौति कृष्णवल्लभ दर्शनेऽपि शैलजादि योषिदालि दुर्लभ कृष्ण संग नन्दितात्मा तस्य ते भूभाजन तं करोति नन्दितालि संशयाशु साधनम्
Gokula Chandra, Radha Gokula Chandra Shri Radhe.
Jaya Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam.
Jaya Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajakacharyya Shridhar Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhayacharana Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajakacharyya Shridhar Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Thakur Ki Jai. Nandkoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Govagopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Gir Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Mathura Vrindavan Nam Ki Jai. Shri Purushottam Shri Jagannath Puri Ram Ki Jai. Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Bharsana Dham Ki Jai. Gangamay Jamunamay Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shrimad Tulsi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Shri Yogadharma Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada's Transcendental Books Distribution Ki Jai. Brihat Mridanga Ki Jai. Shri Shri Paramakartai Gaur Chandra Ki Jai. Shri Radhastami Mahamahotsava Ki Jai. Srimati Radharani Ki Jai. Most glorious appearance of Srimati Radharani Ki Jai. Samveda Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembly of devotees. All glories to the assembly of devotees. All glories to the assembly of devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Vacharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bhashyacha Deshatarini. Namaste Narasingaya Praladadadadai Hiranyakashipurvaksha Shilatanakanakalaiне Nisimha Parato Nisimha
Unasimha Parato Nasimha
Yato Yato Yamitato Nisimha
Yato Yato Yamitato Nasimha
Bahir Nisimha Rirahe Nisimha Nada Shingamadim Sharanam Prapade
Nara Shingamadim Sharanam Prapade
Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tanubringa Keshavadhita Narahare Rupa Jai Jagarisha Hare Jai Jagarisha Hare Jai Jagarisha Hare
Tavakara Kamala Pare Naka Adbhuta Shinga Keshavarita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
Jaya Narashingare Jaya Narashingare Jaya Narashingare Jaya Narashingare
Jaya Narashingare 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 Jaya Narashingare
Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad
Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Bhakta Prahlad Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad
Shri Shingde Bhagwan ki
Ki
jai.
jai.
Bhakta Shravan Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna once again. So want to thank all the devotees who would have participated in today's morning celebration on the occasion of Radhastami, the glorious appearance of Srimati Radharani. So we'd like to invite everyone to please go for prasad. Devotees after breakfast. It's fasting day, of course. Fasting until noon. Okay, so just one humble announcement also that today's feast, wonderful feast, has been sponsored by Nicole and her family. So I'd like to thank them very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So I'd like to thank them for sponsoring today's feast as an offering to Srimati Radharani. Any program this evening? Online, right? Zoom? So just one thing also, the celebration continues this evening. They'll be at 7 p.m. this evening on our online platforms. We'll be having continued discourses on Radhastami. That is on Zoom, Facebook, YouTube, so everyone can join in at 7. Hare Krishna.